One of the pros of software as a service is a lower startup cost to get your software. I priced today, for example, QuickBooks Professional 2008 for a single user license was $435 for that package. With QuickBooks Online, you can have up to 3 users plus your accountant for only $35 to get started. You can see that's a tremendous difference when you're fighting, getting your business started off the ground. Many applications, especially in the world of CRM, for example, you not only have the cost of the installation of the software, but then you have the customization that goes along with it and services. Now, kind of a rule of thumb that a lot of VARs or value-added resellers have is for every $1 in product, $2 worth of services. So that's something to keep in mind. Mobility is another good thing about software as a service. It allows you to use your laptop. Anywhere you can get a broadband connection and internet access, you can access your data through the web. And that's a good thing to have. There's no doubt about that. Also, backups. You don't have to worry about making backups anymore because that's handled by the vendor's network operations center. Also, the vendor will keep the software updated with the latest and greatest version over the web, saving you the fees and costs of version upgrades or the purchase of maintenance contracts on software, as well as not having the installation hassles to worry about. Finally, faster implementation time. That one I'm not so sure about, but it's certainly a selling point that a lot of software as a service providers give. Now for the cons. Really, it's a functionality thing. I have yet to see an online version of software fully match an on-premise version. There are some like Sugar CRM, they have an on-premise appliance or the host, and that would be the same. But for many of these applications, you don't get quite the same robust functionality. Another thing I've noticed is speed. A lot of variables there, but if, on your broadband connection, you may have some latency. It may take longer to move around screens because you're going through the internet. So you're not going to have the snap, snap, snap that you would have if it was an on-premise or installed locally on your system. The price over the long haul. You can get into some scenarios where the software, the monthly subscription bill, becomes very, very expensive over a 2 to 3 year period. Now that's about the normal amount of time that a on-premise solution would pay for itself versus a hosted solution or in the clouds. So you want to keep that in mind. Then there's questions about security. You know what you're doing at your shop, but you're not so sure what's happening at the vendor. So keep that in the back of your mind. I personally like knowing my data is safe and on premises. However, that doesn't bother some people. And some of these companies, their security is excellent. So that's just another point to consider when you're weighing that decision. And finally, what happens if that vendor were to go out of business and your data is in the cloud? Will you be able to get it back? And what kind of problem would that put you in if you had to scramble around for another solution? And that's certainly a very reasonable thing to consider, considering the business model of some of these companies are operating on fairly slim margins. You also own the software if you purchase the software. As a subscription-based service, you'll never own it. You'll always be paying the monthly service charges. So it's my opinion that if you're going to be married to a particular application and use QuickBooks or Microsoft CRM or Act, whatever it is, and you're going to be using that for several years, I think the end game is that you're better off buying the software or even looking at some type of software lease as opposed to subscription service.